Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/ProRevenge, where OP completely ruined the life of his cheating wife. Let's begin. From Wife to Prostitute, posted by Reddit user OMG What Should I Do?
Hello all, I want to start with a disclaimer. English is my third language, so apologies for any typos. I do not know whether this fits into r/ProRevenge, but let's start anyway. When I was a student, I met my future wife. Shortly after graduation, we married. Everything was fine. We have had a happy life, 2 beautiful daughters, and me as a diploma engineer in the country of engineers, Germany, had a very decent income. When I got a promotion and was in charge of the business in 13 countries, we even moved to another country for the doubled income, my wife started to act weirder. She started to spend money as hell, became more and more aggressive, violent and abusive. She started to hit and kick me when she was unhappy. It would have been a classic case of domestic violence if I wasn't a large and heavy man, and she a small and light woman. Authorities didn't care, police just laughed hard. She even attacked me with a kitchen knife, but that was not even the worst, police still laughing. I realized that when I wasn't at home, she did the same to our daughters, both below 6 years old. When I was on a business trip, she left the house and did not come back for days, leaving the kids alone. She just made sure that she was at home before I came back from the business trips to clean up the mess. When I came back from the business trip early, I found my kids in their own mess, completely disturbed and crying from hunger. I was furious. Immediately I spoke to my wife. She just replied that no one would believe me since she was small and cute. And she was right. Not even the youth protection agencies cared. I hope they are called like that in English. She knew she could continue abusing my kids and me. She knew if I got a divorce, she would get the kids and I have to pay for her and the kids for the rest of my life, and said that straight to my face. So I started to film and photo everything I could. To gather even more information, I offered her to get a joint calendar app where we both add our appointments. Clever as she is, she really entered all of her appointments, all of her Tinder dates, all of her orgies, and all of her customers' appointments in the calendar. I played the role of the faithful, submissive husband who is too stupid to realize what's going on. With my lawyer and a recommended detective, we started to track her down and get evidence. Then luck came back to me. Her father was sick, so my wife went to visit him. She was not from Europe. To do that, I suggested to take my girls temporarily to my parents in Germany. They were informed, on which she agreed. Together with another lawyer, we set up some documents necessary to sign up the children to school, but with some subtle changes she did not notice. She and I signed it immediately, giving up all custody of the girls to my parents. In addition, we gathered enough information at that time to go to the court. We pressed charges on child abuse, child neglect, child endangerment. Some of the orgies happened in our house while the kids were watching TV, domestic violence. My wife came back and thought she was smart and defended herself, instead of getting her own lawyer. She did not realize what tsunami rolled towards her. When she realized, we offered to drop all charges when she signs a contract on our condition. I get the children, I do not owe her anything, she is not allowed to see the children unattended. A complete restraint order is not possible here, no holidays with the children, and she has to pay alimony. In the meantime, I found a new job in Germany and moved back. Even this was a heavy hit in my career. My now ex-wife does not have any European citizenship, despite living here for 10 plus years. By signing our divorce papers on our condition, she lost her residence permission for Germany, and the country we lived in for a couple of years. She got the permission to stay a little bit longer to search for work and reapply for a residence permit, which she did. But as abusive as she was in the relationship, she was not able to adjust herself to a working environment. She got fired multiple times, until the authorities lost their patience and canceled her welfare status. Now she has to pay alimony, is about to lose her residence permit for Europe, and is burned for any regular job. Yesterday I learned she is a registered prostitute. In her current residence country you must be registered, with her own webpage where you can order her to the hotel. Clever as she is, with her private telephone number and picture of herself with a fully visible face. The good thing for her, she got a full 4.7-star rating, and as far as I can judge from the orgy videos, she is quite skillful. T.S. Even if all this happened, I will never tell my daughters anything about their mother's fate, nor will I talk bad about her in front of the children. My girls are doing well. Their grandparents are doing a great job when I am at work, and the psychologists are very helpful too.
You know, I am absolutely disgusted at the actions of all the authorities involved. Look, man, I'm sorry that you had to go through all of that. And I am also so sorry that she is still allowed in the same town as your daughters, much less have visitation rights. What the hell is the court system thinking? Also, I think your daughters deserve to know what their mother did. Not with all the explicit, disgusting details about the orgies, just the abuse, neglect, the audacity, and the cheating part. It will be an important lesson for them and will give them closure on why their mother is not around. Just make sure to do it in an age-appropriate manner and with the help of a therapist. And now for today's second story. 20 years later, the life after an affair. Posted by Reddit user Beck Nearded. Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, future PattSun here. So I just finished reading the entire story and editing the video, but I decided to pop back in here and give you guys a trigger warning. OP is so incredibly annoying, so incredibly whiny, and endlessly pathetic. So if you're not into that, you can stop watching the video now. But don't worry, I'll have a different story for you guys tomorrow. But if you're still willing to listen to this story, well, let's continue.
Posting on an old throwaway. For those of you wondering what your life could be like in 20 years with your unfaithful partner, I want to give you a peek into mine. Keep in mind everyone is different and you may have a way better future ahead. This is not to discourage you, only to warn you that it's not easy. Basically, 20 years ago, back when my wife and I were engaged, she was still young and immature and spent 6 months cheating on me and taking demented pleasure in lying and gaslighting me. She would intentionally start arguments over stupid things and then storm off for hours, then come back looking very pleased with herself and refuse to tell me where she went. I was young and naive enough to believe her when she said she wasn't cheating. All my previous relationships had ended with me being cheated on, so she was adamant she would never do that to me. Well, months after it ended, she finally came clean with the classic drip feed of admission. First, it was one time only because he forced himself on me, and when I said I was calling the police, suddenly it wasn't so forced. Then it only happened twice. By the end of the month, I finally got the truth that it had been constant over 6 months, and I had a complete breakdown and told her we were done. But because I was an idiot and thought we were perfect otherwise, I decided to try again and push through, determined to make it work. We eventually got married a few years later, and now here I am with an update to give you a peek of your possible future 20 years after an affair. She's been otherwise excellent, and I genuinely believe she hasn't cheated again, for what it's worth. Not that it matters. She has worked very hard on herself and is mostly a fantastic partner. I ignored the pain at first, but it festered like a cancer and slowly started eating me alive. Every time I asked her for answers, because she was so ashamed, she'd always deflect. Why keep bringing up the past when I only want us to move forward? Telling you would only make you suffer more, and I can't bear to do that to you. But her lack of clarity, coupled with a few niggling issues, just wouldn't go away. She was raised Christian and would get upset every time we slept together because God will send me to hell because we aren't married. Yet no tears were shed when she was with him. She would be constantly paranoid about getting pregnant despite being on the pill, and making me use protection up to 4 months after she started taking it. So I never understood the paranoia until I learned that every encounter with him was bareback even before she started contraception, and he was the first one to get that experience with her for months before she let me do that. That bit still stings. My mind is wrecked. 20 years of constant stress that despite assurances, I could come home tomorrow and find her in bed with some other guy, because I never got a reason why she even did it in the first place. I think she was just curious and liked the thrill, and I was boring in comparison. But her only response is, I don't know why I did it, so I guess I'll never know. If I don't know what set it off in the first place, how will I know what to look for that could set it off again? It's like walking blindfolded through a field of landmines, and trusting the people who set the mines that they're all deactivated. I've been on antidepressants for years now at maximum dose, and they don't do a damn thing anymore. I'm on heroic doses of morphine for a 24-hour headache that never goes away. Again, I've not told her this, but the endocrinologist believes it's from stress and PTSD causing constant tension headaches. It's crippled my ability to do most things, and I know she resents it, but there's no fix, so that added tension just hangs over the relationship. I've seen multiple different therapists, and all it does is make me resent life even more by dragging it up again. Coping skills are useless because the only coping skill that would work is a time machine that could undo what happened. So until that's invented, I'm stuck with this. It may work for some, but it hasn't worked for me because the problem is fundamentally unfixable. Like trying to fly by flapping your arms really hard. Here's where things are at. If I left her, all that would happen is the next partner would cheat on me, so there's no point. We've built this entangled life that for the most part is great, except I'm incapable of experiencing happiness and joy in anything. Even hobbies I used to love are now just pointless. Add in the constant weight of chronic pain and I feel like I'm one straw away from snapping like a twig. Every single thing she resents in our relationship. My inability to do things like I used to, not being the fun-loving person I used to be, are all a result of her actions back then. If I tell her that, she thinks I'm blaming her for everything, but it's a simple fact. I'm barely keeping myself sane, but my mind constantly flashes back to something that happened a lifetime ago that I'll never get a satisfactory answer to, because one doesn't exist. If I stay, I'm miserable and suffer. If I leave the life we built together, I'm even worse off, not just miserable, but alone and unable to support myself on a single income. I've often thought about revenge cheating, but what would it accomplish? It would be inauthentic and wouldn't change the fact that she intentionally crushed my soul for no reason other than selfishness, and hurting her back won't change that fact. This is a lose-lose situation either way, and I'm not looking for sympathy. I wake up every day wishing I could end everything permanently, but I don't have the guts to do it, so I wouldn't. But it doesn't change the fact that it's the only thing I can think about day in and day out. It's like the thought of an instant fix is taunting me because it knows I don't have the balls to do it, so it's laughing even harder at me. She is now very dedicated to me, and I honestly can't fault her at all apart from the above-mentioned things, but it's just too little too late, because the damage has already been done and there's no fixing it. The point of this is to say, if you're expecting to reconcile and eventually get over what your partner did, don't be too hard on yourself and don't expect too much, because it may not ever happen. You might end up like me, miserable, suffering, and regretting every life decision. Constant depression and paranoia, pain, self-esteem issues, the potential side effects never end. I don't recommend being cheated on to anyone. Sometimes there is no winning strategy. Sometimes all you can do is lose the best you can.
You complete fucking buffoon. There is a winning strategy when it comes to a cheating partner. It's called leaving the cheater, not marrying them. Now, because you chose to stay, you're crying like a little bitch. I'm miserable, I'm lonely, the drugs I'm taking is no longer effective. OP, you have no self-respect. You have no courage to stand up for yourself. Even 20 years later, you are still pathetic. Even more so than when you were much younger. No wonder every woman you've ever been with cheated on you. You know, I've covered thousands of stories on this channel, encountered just as many simp lords and spineless men. But I gotta admit, you take the cake. You have got to be the most pathetic one of them all. So congratulations! Your prize is a whore wife and a miserable existence. To all the simps out there, this will also be your fate. So you better wake up now. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.